And welcome to Legends of Albertville. Here in Galloway, John Gladden, Keith Ball, the coach of Bert Browne, the coach of Bert Browne Show. Going out, join us. Going to be here till 7 o'clock tonight. Enjoy some 75-cent wings. Good to have Keith back with us this week. We missed you last week, Keith.
Missed y'all too. I did listen. Fantastic show, as always, minus me.
Yeah.
I was out on my second job, and but I listened to the whole show. Y'all did a great job.
Coach, thanks for joining us. So who have you brought with you tonight for guest?
Evan Jordan, who was our defensive player of the game, and Xavier Havis, who was our offensive player of the game. Reed Kitchens was the co-offensive player of the game, but Reed has got a job, so he had to go to work, and so.
Coach, we got this deficit we got to work on, That's just this national deficit we've got to work on. We need all hands on deck.
Yeah.
Coach, we had a problem Friday night. We had a tough time picking the player of the game because we had a lot of players I thought stood out and had excellent games. You had X, you had Dez had a good game, Hunter had a good game, Evan had a good game. So it was a tough choice.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I think, Evan has had 2 interceptions the last 2 weeks that they called it interference. That was the most ridiculous 2 calls I've ever seen. He's playing perfect coverage in the Grissom game and inside leverage on the kid and picks a pass off, and it was underthrown and he picked it off. You don't call pass interference on that because that's how you teach DBs to play. Mm-hmm. He's got leverage on him. He's inside of him. He makes a great play. And then that daggone play last week was an overthrown ball, and he had perfect over-the-top coverage on the kid. The kid stuck his hands out. Evan stuck his hands out and intercepted the pass. You can see on film the guy's throwing the flag before
ball even comes in.
Yeah.
Yep, I saw
I mean, it was unbelievable. And then, they kicked that field goal to start the game, that first field goal.
Yeah.
That ball was on the left hash. It was an incomplete pass. All right. I declined the penalty, made it 4th down. They put the ball in the middle of the field for him to kick a field goal.
Never even thought of it. I didn't catch that one, Coach. Wow.
And, man, that's pretty important.
Yeah.
I mean, if you teed me up right in front of the goal post, I might be able to hit a 25-yarder.
Yeah.
Anyway, but the interception, Evans had 2 taken away from him that he should have, had, and I feel sorry for him because he just did what he's coached to do and what any coach in America would teach.
Let's talk first half. You kept it close, 16-6, about 4 minutes to go in the half. I thought overall first half played some good football.
Well, we started 9 sophomores or freshmen on offense and 8 on defense.
9 and 8, so 17 of your 22 sophomores, freshmen.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we kicked that onside kick, and beautiful. I mean, NFL guys don't kick it like that. It was perfect. And we stood there and watched it. 5, 6 kids stood right there, and their guy went up and got it. I told them I did a cut-up Saturday morning and of 38 plays, and I showed them Sunday and just said, none of this is superhuman. None of this is SEC football players. All you got to do is do your job. What I've cut up here is high school players can do their job right here at different times. We got within 10 yards on the kick return. We were within 10 yards of the ball carrier. Well, we tell them, you don't get out of your lane then. We'll let you rip and dip and get back in your lane if the ball carrier's 20 yards away. But if he's that close to you, you got to take on that block. And we had one guy not running his lane, and the other guy gets out of it. It creates a hole, and it's a touchdown. And just like I told him, I said, guys, if we do that little thing right there, that's a huge momentum thing. And so, stuff like that. But Evan's pick was a terrible call. And I was really proud of him. And, we have a red zone play that we have a great red zone stand by our defense early in the game. And Hunter hits a guy on the seam route that's going to be a first down. Hunter makes a great play on that. And then we have a long run by X, and we get down there on the 20-yard line the next play. we run bootleg and we take a 10-yard sack. You know, we got to throw that ball away right there.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's just got to do that. We just got to get it out of our hands, but that's part of learning and the young guys. And you know, we watched the film Sunday and corrected that stuff, and then you know, on fourth down, we got to throw the ball up and give ourselves a chance. We can't take a sack. You know, on fourth down, we've done that way too many times this year. We've got to throw that ball up and give us a chance and not eat the ball on fourth down. And then, you know, their shift that they were doing that they got us on, I raised Cain about that all night. And they told me, well, he's coming up there and he's not putting his hands in the center. And I said, look, I mean, what looks like to me, his hands are under the center. And, you know, I get to explain. I said, I've been doing this a long time, played it a long time, and I've never seen that. That's illegal. That's deception. Well, you look on film, the kid's hands are under the center, and he jumps back, and they have a line shift. That's deception. That's like barking signals on defense. You can't do that. And that should have been a penalty on them. Instead, it gave them a first down, and which led to a touchdown. They did it again, a first down, which led to a touchdown. So instead of it being it was 2nd and 7 the first time they did it. It made it 2nd and 2. They get a first down. They score a touchdown.
Yeah.
And so that was deception. 3 times I think they did that to us, and it's illegal. And I sent that in. I tagged that and sent that in to our association and said, you might want to share this with those guys because that should be an illegal call. That should be illegal motion by the offense. And so, so I just that kind of stuff kills you. And then we come out the second half and snap the ball over the quarterback's head. They get the ball on the one. And, you know, little things like that we have got to correct those things. And I told the kids this today. I said, we have a chance to win a football game. We really do. And I said, you've got to believe that. I believe it. But we can't go out and do these things to ourselves and win a football game because we're not Thompson High School. We can't overcome that because we don't have 7 SEC players.
Right.
You know, we've got to play the game and do the right things at the right time. And again, it's not superhuman stuff I'm talking about, you know. But that's part of being so dang young that they're going to make mistakes like that, and it drives you crazy. If I had hair, it would be white. I mean, it wouldn't be gray. It would be white because, you know, so many things, you know, this year that we've just done to ourselves that if we could eliminate half of our mistakes, we might have won a few ball games, you know.
Coach, when you speak of the youth and 17 of the 22 were freshmen and sophomores last week, I know you and I talked on Thursday before that game, and you said, what was it, 4 of the 5 offensive linemen that you had in that game are going to be sophomores. So just wondering, because you could see some moments in that game where they looked like an offensive line. There were moments where they looked like 4 sophomores on the offensive line. I get it. Question to you is, do you see, or because you're at practice, obviously, and I stop by every now and again, but you're at practice, you're at all of these teams, you're Sundays, the whole 9 yards. Are you beginning to see that young offensive line start to get it a little bit, some of the chemistry, some of the gelling, and not only are they getting it, but I know that you had talked about, you know, your coaches understanding how you coach. Are they starting to get what your vision is on that?
I think so. I mean, I think, you know, we've got, you know, Reed is a lone senior up there, and he does a great job leading those guys and helping them out as much as he can to do and doing his job too. Right. And I know that's tough on him because, you know, you got a bunch of puppies up there and you got a senior that's seasoned and knows what to do. And then, so I just, our guys are starting to get it and pick it up. And like I say, if we can just eliminate some mistakes and we can eliminate, you know, lining up wrong here and there defensively, we're lining up wrong at times. If we can eliminate that kind of stuff, you know, I'm excited about the next 2 games, and that's what I've told them. I told them, I said, Sunday night when I went home, I get my computer out, I'm watching film, and I told my wife, I said, I think we got a shot at these guys, and she goes, you think so? I said, yeah. I mean, they run the ball 76% of the time.
Yep.
They're not a big throwing team. I know they've had some quarterback issues. I think their starter's been hurt for a while. Nothing, I hope he gets well, but not Friday night. And so there's some things that I think we can do to them and take advantage of them offensively and defensively, which I'm sure they think the same thing about us. But like I told our kids, we have the element of surprise because their kids think that it's a win.
Right.
And if we go over there and we take care of our business and get up early and get those guys where they're playing tight because they get nervous and they're supposed to win, we just need to go have fun.
Go play ball and have fun, Coach. And for the listeners at home that have never been on a sideline and making calls, when you're talking about these guys being young, not only are they just young people, but they don't have that football IQ. That's what'll drive you crazy is they don't understand situational stuff, and it's stuff that, that especially if you've got seniors, they understand that stuff. Reed's probably understanding a lot of that stuff, Xavier and some of these guys. But go back to last Friday night. I was impressed with the explosive plays.
Yeah.
I know you talked about one time Dez ate it on a 4th down, but then the one play where he turns it loose, Hunter goes up, makes a play, and then Xavier had several explosive plays on Friday night.
And that's what I told Dez at halftime. I've told him all week, the last few weeks, turn it loose, cut it loose, throw it hard, don't be soft with it. And he did that, scored a touchdown, and then we faked that punt. And, I was fired up at halftime. I told him, I said, you see what happens when you just cut the ball loose.
Yeah.
Don't worry about aiming it or anything. Because as a quarterback, when you aim a ball, you're just asking for bad things to happen. You just got to throw the football, and your mind's a machine, and it's locked in of where that ball's got to go and how your arms got to go and all that stuff. So I just told him, don't worry about mistakes. Don't worry about any of that thing. Just throw it.
Yeah, and like I said, the explosive plays, I feel like, were there even the ones that we didn't score touchdowns on. Xavier had several runs of probably 18, 20, 22 yards and looked really good back there. But that was a big change, that I saw Friday night versus what we'd seen the rest of the year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, James Clemens is going to win the region.
Yeah.
All they got to do is beat Grissom. If Grissom beats him, it'd be like Grissom beating the Green Bay Packers because those dudes.
They might could actually beat the Packers this year, Coach.
Well,
we're not that good.
Well, so the biggest thing for me is we just took the team that's going to win the region championship, and for a kickoff return that shouldn't have happened, that if we just stay in our lane, we bottle that guy up, make the tackle on about the 40 or 45, and we make them have to drive the football. There was a few things that we did to ourselves defensively. We ran out. They started running stretch on us, and their athleticism took over because they got us. They started running stretch, and then got our guys out there, and that kid stuck his foot in the ground, and boy, he was a player. Yep. And so anyway, it's just one of those deals where, like I say, we just got to put it all together and quit pulling that gun out and putting a bullet in our foot, you know.
Another question about the game. Keith mentioned the explosive plays, but I thought Dez and Hunter seemed like they worked the best together they've had this season. I know Dez is back at quarterback for now, but I thought against a very good secondary, 3 touchdown passes.
Yeah. And, Hunter had a great game. We started 3 freshman wide receivers.
Right.
And I thought they did real good.
Yeah. Hey, that's 3's going to be ball players.
Yes,
too.
they are.
I mean,
and they're going to leave out of here with 100 catches apiece.
Yeah.
Because, CJ is going to be a heck of a player, and he's just getting better every day, going to get better every year and every week and month and all that. And he's and we're going to do a lot of 7-on-7 this coming summer where we can get these young guys out there and doing some things. And and we'll have a year under our belt with the offense and defense that we have. And so I'm excited about those guys. I know Tay and Brant and Rashawn.
Yeah.
They've done a great job.
Well, I've watched Brant kind of grow up. He's my nephew's age, and that sucker's an athlete.
Yes, he is.
Sure enough
He
is.
took a shot.
He sure.
Yeah.
Boy, I'm telling you what, he took
a shot
in the
and
teeth.
got up. Yeah,
In the teeth.
yeah. He took one of those. I went, oh.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought, man, I don't know if he's going to get up. Yeah. He got his little skinny butt up.
Coach, we'll take a timeout, got some guests to talk to. We'll take a timeout and come back with the Coach Bert Browne Show at Legends of Albertville. Come on, join us here till 7 o'clock. We'll take a break and be right back here on Power 107.5. And welcome back to Legends of Albertville, the Coach Bert Browne Show. Beery Galloway, John Glad, and Keith Ball. Got some special guests and another one here to my right, Keith. You may be familiar with him, John, Keith.
Yeah, I'm very, very familiar with Mr. Lance Kitchens. I worked for him for about 4 years.
Absolutely.
So what kind of employee was Keith? Now, give us a
Keith Ball. And he was the life of the middle school when he was there. He was always having us a good time out in the gym, running some great PE classes.
Yeah, PE classes, and I was the head coach for you for about 4 years.
Yes, sir.
So enjoyed. I won't just blow smoke up his rear because he's sitting here, but Mr. Kitchens, and I've worked for some great administrators while I was at Albertville City Schools, but Mr. Kitchens was a fine man to work for. He let you do your job as long as you're doing your job the right way.
Right.
And but he was a great person to work for.
Well, thank you, Keith. I appreciate
sir.
you saying that.
So let's talk. You've been around coaching your entire life. How does it feel now? When you step down from coaching, basically, how did that feel? Is that a big change?
That was a big change. Of course, it's been about 15 or so years now.
You don't seem. Oh wow!
It really has. I know.
I remember following you for years. We covered many of your games.
That's right. A lot of fun. Back
always
in the day.
enjoy it, and they had some great teams in this. So we still do, but some of those teams years ago, they were just amazing to watch.
Oh yeah, a lot of big battles in the county back then, and anyway, a lot of great memories from those times. So, absolutely.
So do you miss some of those battles like we used to, like some of the matchups we had years ago?
One of the things, though, I'm sure Coach Brown's going through it now. You know, you're living and you're dying kind of by how the results come out.
Yeah.
And it's not quite the same these days for me, you know, and so you don't have that going on. But I absolutely miss the interaction with the players, you know, the development that you get to see them make throughout the course of their career, and the competition on the Friday nights. Missed that a little bit.
But just some of the players you had a chance to coach, and they came through. We had some.
My first team I had at Boaz had A.J. Milway on it. A lot of really good players. I'm going to leave some good players out. I obviously will. But anyway, Nick Maples was a good player for me up there at Boaz when I was up there. And then prior to going to Boaz, of course, I was Patrick's assistant at Albertville.
Right.
His JV coach, and had some wonderful players there at the time, too. Got blessed. Had Michael Darden and Brock Morris, Jay Raines, and that group. And that was on the JV team, not the varsity team. You know, that was a really strong group. So during that stretch of time in the county, there were some really special athletes that came through.
We've had some great matchups, Boy. I mean, you talk about the Jeremy Hayes years, Alex Beeson years. Used to, you'd go to Sneed, the county tournament. They had to lock the doors basically for the championship game.
Sneed, they'd be standing 3 or 4 deep around the court just trying to watch that game, and then you turn around and meet again in Jacksonville State to advance on to the Final Four. So just some really special times back then.
So now you're retired from coaching. Now you're making the big bucks now.
Well, I don't know about that, but making the big decisions, I guess, at times for the middle school anyway. So.
Well, and you know, Mr. Kitchens and I have been friends now, I guess, for a decade or whatever, because he's on my third of 3 coming through his school. So he had Grayson, and then God love him, he had Hudson, and we got him through middle school. And today he actually got to induct my daughter into the Junior Honors Society. She didn't get that from her dad, by the way, just throwing that out there as well. But tell us a lot about, I mean, you got a lot of good things going on in that middle school right now. Got a good support staff with you. Got great teachers and faculty. And, I mean, everything from the custodians to the lunchroom. It just seems like it's a lot of good things, a lot of great momentum. And when we can talk about sports, but just philanthropy in the community, but also academics. Just talk about some of those things going on in your school right now.
All right, John. Kind of like you said, there's, you know, it takes that whole group to have a successful school year, or have a successful program or whatever. And I feel blessed right now that we've hired some really good people. Like you said, I've got some of the best custodians you'd ever want to have. Moving it up to the cafeteria staff in the lunchroom does a wonderful job of serving our kids every day, and then extending on into the classroom, the teachers that we have that, you know, are passionate about their job and passionate about their students and wanting to see them exceed and excel. And then the parents that are raising good kids, you know, and sending them to us. It's kind of like I told the parents today, you know, we're inducting 70-something students in JHS, but that was a lot of work between the students and the families and the schools to make that happen. It wasn't just on the school. So again, we appreciate everything that the parents do as well prior to those kids coming to our school.
You need to have a middle school parent refresher during the summer, because the way that y'all are doing math and English and all that's a whole lot different than when I went to school.
Now, don't ask me a math question.
No. Well,
Not that guy.
Kennedy was asking me how to do this math, and I showed it to her, and she said, well, that's not how we did it in class. And I said, well, that's how we did it 30 years ago. And
That's right.
We got the right answer. But no, just a lot of great things. I appreciate you being there and I know there's a lot of parents that probably would say the same thing, and so I'm collectively going to say it on behalf of the parents that have had students that have come through your school. I appreciate you being there, and I know I got one with you for this year, next year.
Yes, sir.
So I appreciate you, the way you're leading, the way your staff's leading. And then when the occasional time that you and I have to have conversations, that you've always been open and honest with me, and I appreciate that, and I look forward to that in our
middle
conversation.
school's a unique time in students' lives.
Absolutely.
And they're going through a lot, and so my point of view is always just to try to be consistent day to day, not get too high, not get too low with them, and help basically keep them steered in the right direction. And then a lot of times, they'll hit 9th, 10th grade, 11th grade, things just smooth right on out, and we've just tried to help them navigate those waters through the middle school area.
Well, and one thing is, to me, Barry and Keith, and you've been there, you were a teacher, and you were an administrator, you're coming from the elementary school, and now you're kind of given a little bit of freedom in middle school. Plus, oh, by the way, young men are becoming young men, and young ladies are becoming young ladies, and so you're trying to navigate all of these. Listen, you're trying to navigate the social aspect as well as the academic aspect, and I used to get my greatest thing is when the boys will try to talk deep for a minute, and then they go and they hit that right in the middle of that, and you just look at them, and like you said, those hormones. But I appreciate you being there, and I know there's a lot of parents that appreciate you and your staff, and just the lunchroom ladies, custodians, everybody that works at middle school, because a lot of positive stuff coming out of there.
Well, I do appreciate that, and that's kind of, again, we want to be as positive as we can with the kids. Like I said, that's always kind of our mindset and our goal, and so if the community sees that, then I appreciate you saying that.
Yep. Do.
That's always stood out from you. I've followed you and your family for many years, and you're not just a supporter of the athletics, you're a supporter of the kids. It's not just the wins and losses, it's about the kids when they leave here, what's going to happen down the road, and I've always noticed that, and I appreciate what you've done.
Well, I do appreciate that. And again, I guess that comes from a background in education and seeing my family, so many people in my family have been educators, and Dad being a coach for so many years, and watching him firsthand kind of take care of players, so to speak, as they, at the college level or community college level, a lot of them didn't have a whole lot when they got there, and he would, go a long way to helping some kids make ends meet. And of course, my mother taught for 30 some odd years, and again, seeing how she treated people, and I guess I've just kind of come to that naturally.
And I think the school now has a great group of coaches now who kind of are alongside Coach Browne and his staff. I think they're kind of along the same way where you were.
Yes, sir. I definitely can sense that, having a son in the program. Like I said, as a coach, you have great seasons and you have tough seasons, and I've had a tough season too. Yeah. And it's awfully hard to stay the course and stay positive with them. And I feel like these guys have absolutely done that, because I can tell how my son's reacting to the season.
Well, let's dive into that a little bit. Now, I coached all of yours, I guess. I coached Bryson and Chase and Reed and
Will.
And I saw Will the other day. He's working for MUB. It's amazing how fast they grow up. But talk a little bit about having your caboose and being a senior.
I've had a player on the varsity team since 2017. Yeah. So, it's getting a little bit. Dad and I pulled into the parking lot last home game, I guess, against Grissom. And I looked over at him. I said, well, Dad, because we've been doing this, like I said, since 2017. I said, that's the last time we'll be pulling in here as a parent of a player. Right. And, that's going to hit a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be honest with you. But it's been a lot of fun watching them grow up and become men. And, again, I appreciate all the coaches that they've had that put time in and invested into them and helped them become what they have now.
Yeah, they're four great young men. It's 4 great boys, you'd say, but great young men, and it's a pleasure to coach them. And I know it probably hits a little different since Reed is a senior, but I tell you what, he's doing a heck of a job this year, holding down offense and playing some defensive line. And we've talked about it with Coach several times after ball games. He's one of those seniors, that and bless his heart, right now he's not getting to reap the rewards a whole lot, but he's definitely one of those that we're building a foundation moving forward on.
And going into the season, Reed and I had some conversations about what the season could be. Unfortunately, when you're so young, I'm not going to say we thought it would be this way, but we were concerned that it would be, and what was his role going to be like? Because sometimes seniors can go one of two ways. They can stay positive or they can go bitter.
Yep.
And going into it, I wanted him to make sure he understood that what his role is going to be as a leader. And having gone through this before, he needs to be a good example. And I hope he has done that.
He's done it.
I hope he has.
In spades.
Well, just a few moments ago, Coach Browne, made the comment that, last week you got 5 sophomore offensive linemen out there, and you got Reed. And Coach, you tell me, Reed got to be the leader on that offensive line and a calming influence. When things start to go a little haywire, sophomores will kind of lose it just because they're young.
They're young, right.
But Reed on the sidelines able to kind of be that calming influence as well.
Yep, absolutely. Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, he's always kind of been a mature person for his age.
Yeah, and I guess growing up the youngest and trying to keep up with his older brothers, they've kind of set the tone for him. So you're right, he has been a little more mature. Of course, he's always kind of quiet, reserved. That's a little bit of his personality as well. Yeah. Except for when he gets at home, gets in the shower and gets to singing and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to kill me for saying that. That's his hidden talent.
Well, Coach, thanks for joining us, talking to Lance Kitchens. Appreciate you, and good to see you. And we'll see you again in the next couple of weeks.
Thank you very much.
We'll take a time out and come back with more from Coach Bert Browne Show here on Power 107.5. And welcome back to Legends of Albertville, the Coach Bert Browne Show. Good to have Coach Kitchens with us, and now we move on to the players. A couple of guests next to you right there, Keith Ball.
Well, we're going to start with Evan. Evan, appreciate you joining us tonight.
You're welcome.
Well, Evan, one thing that's just been really impressive, and I know we've got you as Defensive Player of the Week. Coach was talking about it earlier. Probably a couple of interceptions the last couple of weeks that kind of got messed up by some we'll call them penalties, and we don't think they were, but that's what we'll call them. But something I've been very impressed with, Evan, this year is the way you have gotten off blocks and made tackles. Is that something that coaches have worked with you on, or is that something that's kind of come natural?
Well, really both. Coach at practice, he makes us do outside drills to contain outside, leverage, make the tackles. And if we got to, we'll make them inside.
Yeah, you've done a great job. Your technique has been really good. I want to say that I probably had a hand in that when you played for me when you were in junior high. I don't know. I know you played a little bit of defense. You touched the ball a pretty good bit too. But the biggest thing being out there at corner, well, like when Coach, we were talking about earlier, they run that stretch play, especially in the second half. And, man, you're out there on the island. That thing's coming at you, and you've got to get your guy stood up. You got to make sure you don't get outside. But like you said, if he cuts inside, you got to go try to make that tackle. And you've done a great job of that this year. That's one of the parts of your game that I feel has gotten that much better this year. It's just been great to watch. Talk a little bit about you being one of those older guys this year and how you've kind of had to be a leader for this team.
At practice, I have to be a leader. Like when the younger guys don't have high energy, I have to make that there. And if they're looking low, I have to pick them up. I have to set a tone at practice. Like I have to work hard every day.
That's your job, man. That's what you got to do when you come in when you're older guys.
Yeah, talking to Evan Jordan. Evan, watching you from the booth, from game one to now, we've seen so much improvement. Can you feel it yourself that you've really improved from the beginning of the season to like now? Can you feel it?
Oh, yes, sir. I work hard every day and make sure I improve on at least something every week.
What is it you've been wanting to work on over the past few weeks that you feel like you've really improved on? What part of your game?
Man coverage, tackling, really everything.
You got to go up against some good players over the past few weeks, and I think you've done well against them. That's got to make you feel good. I mean, some of these guys playing college ball next year.
Yeah, sir. I'm just trying to get the film, really. I'm just trying to go to college, especially against the 7A people. It gives you a good look.
You got one next to you over there in the right who may be playing some college, should be playing some college ball. How's it feel having Xavier Havis on your team?
It's good. He really brings looks to the team.
Yeah.
I could feed off his energy. He's a good senior for us.
It's supposed to be there last week. He was on ESPN interview, so I think we missed him, Keith.
Oh, did he? I got you. Hey, real quick, all the guys that I coached your older brothers, and everybody that sat down at the table, and I've had to ask them about. Pretty simple question: are you a better athlete than Kai?
Yes, sir.
You're a better athlete.
He knows that. He knows.
Okay. What about Braden?
Definitely.
You're a better athlete than Braden, but can you take Braden?
Yes, sir.
No.
Yeah.
Braden's pretty thick.
Take Braden what? Anything on the line.
Yeah.
I take him on the line.
Okay.
Wide receiver.
See, listening tonight.
Defense.
What about a board drill? What about one-on-ones?
I'll find a way to beat him.
I got you.
The question is, favorite athlete, any sport, who's your favorite athlete to watch on TV? Or
It's Jalen.
Ooh, good choice.
Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We also asked favorite music-wise, who do you like to listen to? What John
Really
listens to
true.
there. Yeah.
On my playlist.
Evan's been fun watching you play. Thank you for joining us tonight. If you would pass it down to X here. He's like the professional of the group here.
It's the elder statesman. Evan he can eat his wings.
X, Xavier Havis, hey, thanks for joining us again. Man, you've had so many highlights this year, but the last couple of weeks to me have stood out more than anything else. Last week, talk about your play last week. Were you satisfied with yourself?
Oh yes, sir. I'm not gonna lie. I was surprised. You know, there's a bunch of good people on that team, 3-4 stars that I went out there and I competed with, and I'll say the way I was running the ball, I was running it real aggressive. I got a lot of open field yards. You know, I was just doing my thing.
Coach Brown has told us from week one, you're as good as these players, if not better, and we can see you playing down the road college ball. I think you really have shown it the last few weeks.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's what I want to do.
Yeah. You had one extremely long run. I forget how many yards last week when you went around the end. And you're going around the end against some guys with some speed, but your speed was as good as theirs last week.
Oh, yes, sir. I was hoping I could break that one loose because
Yeah.
that was a real nice looking run. But, you know, they caught up to me. I had to make a move, and I had nowhere else to go after I made that move.
Xavier, you're doing really well, guys. I mean, it's just unbelievable how we are doing. I don't know if you know this, but this is a stat that I pulled out for you for the season. Did you know that you're averaging 4.6 yards a carry?
I did not.
Yeah, so if you multiply that times 3, that's a little over 12 yards. That means you're moving the chains, barring that we don't shoot ourselves in the foot. So I just wanted to kind of give you some props on the radio at 4.6 yards a carry. That's big whenever
Yes,
you get a running back that can do that, especially, in 7A competition. Whenever you're out there, though, right, I see it sometimes whenever you're going up against those 3 stars and 4 stars that we're talking about. They make the tackle. Y'all get up, kind of look at one another through the face mask. Tell me a little bit about those conversations, because I know they're wanting to chitter-chatter a little bit at you because maybe we don't have the best record. Mm-hmm. So what I just got to know, what's X-Man saying back to the ones that are yipping at you a little bit?
You know, when they talk, I mean, I let them talk sometimes, but when it gets out of hand and, like, they really have no place to talk, I just let them know, like, y'all are going to know my name. Like, y'all are going to know who I am. I'm not somebody y'all going to be able to pick on like that.
Well, what's great is watching you lower your head sometimes, and the first thing it hits on them is the back of their head, hits the ground. It's pretty. It looks good.
Yes, sir. That one run I had up the middle, I popped that kid. That was nice.
It was.
I'll tell you one thing that I've watched you advance in this year, and it seems from in game about 2 when we really started to put you in the running back package a lot. And now let's look at 7 weeks later. It seems as if your vision as a running back has improved a lot. Like it seemed as if and what I mean by that is sometimes as a running back, you look at the hole, it's not there, but and so you start to scatter, you go somewhere else. Whereas sometimes you see the good running backs will be patient, wait for the block to develop, and then go. Talk about you and your development, your eye discipline over the last 7 weeks, and just you maturing into that role of being a player that can run the ball on a Saturday.
Yes, sir. At the start, I was having trouble seeing it sometimes, but ever since then, Coach Karcher and my running backs coach, they've preached on me every day at practice, just be patient, look for the hole. And they tell me the hole is going to be narrow. Last week, they told me the hole wasn't going to be a big hole, it's going to be narrow. And I've been just focusing on having my patience. And one of our plays that were designed for our pool, the hole was originally supposed to be narrow, and that was one of the plays that I broke loose on because I waited and I hit it right off the butt, I think, of Reed Kitchens or Christian Ramirez, and I got a big gain from it.
Yeah, the vision to me in your game is what's come a long way, and just that you have that feel when you're running the ball now. You can just feel it a little better than you did
Yes,
the first
sir.
year.
Yeah, I feel like I was in my groove, like I was on fire.
Yeah, the last 2 games have been awesome.
One more fun question. You're next to Evan Jordan. Okay, you're in practice. You break one. He's the only man left to tackle you. Who's going to win the battle, you or Evan?
He catches the stiff arm every time. He's not catching. Nobody catches him.
There you go.
And Evans over here shaking his head like, what's that dude talking about?
Well, it's actually been fun to watch. You brought a lot to this team, and we appreciate what you've done. Looking forward to see you the next 2 games.
Sir, thank you.
All right, thanks, X. And another guest, Sean?
Yeah.
The first-time appearance?
I think he's making his first time appearance on the radio show. He's doing it reluctantly. My man, it was like I had to. So Barry, when Valerie gets an IOU for $50 to pay Coach Harper to come over here, I mean, I had to like. So it'll be in your next paycheck, Coach, from WQSB or whoever. No, I'm kidding, Val. Val's probably listening, panicking right now. So, Coach, I mean, first year at Albertville. Talk to us about a little
Introduce
bit.
him, John, to the folks here with us.
Tony Harper, right? Tony Harper, defensive coordinator at. So he's the elder statesman on the defensive side of the ball, puts everything together. And let me tell you something, guys. I have been to practice and watching Coach Harper at practice with the defense. You talk about, hey, man, it is intense. So I enjoy your intensity, but also enjoy the way you teach the kids and coach football. I love it because when I'm out there with you and Coach Karcher and Coach Browne, just a lot of flashbacks for this old guy back when he was in his early 20s getting to play out there. So I would love to say I'd love to suit up for you, Coach, but I'll be good for about 2 plays, and then I'm going to be done. So
I mean, we'll take you right now. We'll put you at the 3-tech and let you eat. I mean, it'll be good.
Yeah.
give 2 plays and I need a Gatorade and some oxygen is what I need over there. Coach, really quick, so I guess my first question is, when you came to Albertville and you got ready to instill your defensive philosophy, just first question out of the gate is, what is that philosophy that you think of, like, this is kind of my style, this is kind of the way I look at things defensively?
I mean, all of us coaches, we steal from everybody. So it's nothing that we do that we initiated or, we stole it and borrowed it and begged it, and then we just kind of tweak it a little bit to fit our mentality. But we got one thing that we say in this Code Red, and it's got 4 pillars. It's about be prepared, play hard, play fast, and finish. And those are the 4 things. That's all that we ask of our guys, and it goes into real world, real life stuff too. I mean, not only on the football field, you got to be prepared for your work. You got to get up early. You got to study whatever you're doing, whether it's a history test, whether it's getting up and going in on a 3rd shift or different things like that. And then, that goes on to the next one. Everything that you do in life, you got to do it hard. You got to do it to the best of your ability. The best of my ability may not be better than somebody else's, but I'm going to give you everything that I got. And that's what we ask the kids. And then the last one is finish, and that is you finish the drill, you finish the play, you finish your degree, you finish whatever you started. And I tell you what, these kids, I mean, it's been a joy being down here. I appreciate the opportunity I had working with and learning from Coach Browne and Coach Karcher, but these guys, they're the reason that I have the high energy. I mean, they come to practice and I can get on them a little bit, and I kind of get on them a little bit in the game, but they take the coaching, and these young men have really responded.
Well, Coach, the really impressive thing that I've seen out of you, and I've got to talk to you a couple of times, that positive energy, that intensity is there. It doesn't matter what the score is and what's going on in the ball game. If they miss an extra point, I mean, you're out there, you're excited, and you're bringing all that energy. Talk about where we're at now compared to when you first walked on campus, as far as, because I'm going to be honest with you, the little things, the tackling is there, the getting off blocks, that sort of thing it's
Light years
better than what it has been in the last couple of years. But talk about that growth from when you first got here to where we're at now.
Well, I think a lot of it all starts with Coach Browne and the message that he's sending to the entire team, and these guys are buying into that. I mean, every single day he sets it, and then we got to carry it on into our position meetings and our unit meetings. And Coach Callahan at linebackers, Coach Martin in the secondary, Coach Nelson at the defensive line, and Coach Oliver at the defensive line. I got to give those guys all the credit because they're the one that's buying into it. I mean, I can sit in the room and draw a bunch of X's and O's on the board, and we can do this and we can say we can do that. If there's not full buy-in by everybody, then you're not going to have success. And I appreciate the kind words that you all saying, but we got a lot to do. We got to do a lot better with that tackling. We got to do a lot better with that pursuing. But the kids are trying and they're busting hard.
Yeah,
sounds like somebody just got tackled in the background, Coach.
No, they are working hard, and we've talked about it a million times. They're so young. And we know those struggles, but they're a hard-working bunch, and they get after it. And I've seen teams in the past that hadn't finished, and they're not done it the right way. And so we really appreciate the energy you bring and what you bring every week.
Hey, Coach, now getting specifically for this week, all right, just a little specific question this week. So, number 3 leading rusher in all of 7A. Is Tyran Washington. I'm sure you've seen him on film this week. So over 1,000 yards rusher this season. What's your thoughts on him when you're looking at him? And obviously they run the ball about 76% of the time. So I'm sure that may have caused you to go to bed a little after midnight, maybe a little bit this week. Your thoughts on Mr. Washington?
Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to try and sneak about 14, 15 kids on the field to see if we can tackle him. He's a big old boy now, I'll tell you what. But he is a physical. He runs behind his pads extremely well. The one thing that he's got that some of the guys that maybe we haven't seen is he's not going to bounce it. He's going to try and push that thing vertical a lot quicker. They're going to try and run some of that split zone, and they give him a two-way go. So we got to make sure our inside linebackers on the backside are on the cutback, and our play side inside linebackers are going to shoot that clear gap right now. The thing that's got to have happen is our outside linebackers, our dogs got to come off the edge. We can't box tech. We got to come down at 45, and we just got to make him stop and start his feet. That's going to be the biggest thing. He's a tough back, and he's running for a lot of yards against some of the best competition in the state, so we got to get 11 hands to the ball.
Coach, players like that running back and the other players you've seen in the region this year from Austin and Sparkman, your thoughts on the talents you've seen from the other teams this year? How impressive are they to you?
Yeah. I'll tell you that right now. I mean, there's a lot of great coaches in this region. There's a lot of great players down here. They all got their own little unique way of doing things, whether it's a James Clemens with that outside zone, or you got that Sparkman with the three-step and quick vertical game, and different. And now this week with these guys running a lot more of that split zone. But they all got their own ways, and it's a really good football, I'll tell you that.
Coaches has mentioned the size of these teams. What he's impressed him. What about you when you go up against some of these big guys? Were you expecting that?
I mean, to be brutally honest with you, no idea what to expect. And I went in here just ready to embrace anything. But, again, the size that these guys got, and not as just a size, is the athleticism. They can change direction. They do a very good job of making those calls and changes. That was something that's very impressive to me.
Coach, one of the things that I noticed because I actually sit down on Monday and Tuesday, and obviously not necessarily to the degree you guys do, but I break down film and look at a lot of stuff that they're doing. And one of the things that I noticed is sometimes they'll kind of get in what I call the old school tight end out there on the end. Sometimes they'll bring maybe a wing back in between the tackle and the tight end, kind of go of a heavy package. So is that anything like, because you're used to playing these teams that have, no tight ends, they've got spread going on, and now you have a team that comes out in a little bit different offensive kind of set because, like you said, they want to run 76% of the time, so they got the big hog mollies up front that kind of want to move. As a defensive coordinator, does that, not wholesale changes, but does that kind of influence you as saying, hey, these guys are heavy package, they want to run a lot and come at us, we just got to meet them in the mouth, or how do we do that?
Well, what we're trying to do is what we tried to do the last few weeks was we don't have enough guys. If you want to run a 40 front, an even front, our philosophy is you're going to have at least seven big old butts up front, so you can rotate, because we are a big rotating type of defense. We want to go 4 plays, let's rotate our guys. And Coach Oliver and Nelson and Callahan man do a great job with that. So we didn't really have to do a lot of that. We were just moving and pressuring to get into a 4-man look, if you will. But now what these guys are doing is kind of similar to what Grissom did in a way, is their big package, their heavy package, their jumbo package. We went in and we tried to put a 40 front in 2 days ago in practice, and let's just say that got scrapped and thrown in the trash can real fast. So, and then what we did today, we met as a defensive staff early this morning. We put some stuff up on the board. We got a package in where we bring a couple of extra big bodies on. We're trying to match our big bodies with their big bodies. Now, their big bodies are big bodies, but we're going to try and move our front and do some different things. But you have to be able to adjust defensively to what you're seeing offensively. And the thing that our guys are doing is they're buying into it. They're not batting their eyes at all.
Coach, thanks for joining us tonight. And I'll let you get back to you've already finished your meal.
Yeah, that went down fast. That was a really good win.
Thanks for the job you've done here with us.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, we'll take a timeout, come back with Coach Browne, and wrap things up here at Legends of Albertville here on Power 107.5. And welcome back to Legends of Albertville. Wrapping things up with Coach Bert Browne. Coach, let's talk Bob Jones coming up this week. What can we expect?
Well, they've got a big physical running back, and they run the ball 76% of the time, I think, what Coach Harper was talking about there. And defensively, they've got some big kids that can run and do those things. So, it's going to be a challenge, but we've just got to limit the mistakes. We can cut back half the mistakes we're making, we'll be okay.
Coach, last week you had 2 edge rushers, both of them going to go play in big college ball.
Yeah.
This week, no different. Still got 2 edge rushers that are going to play on Saturdays next year.
Yeah.
Talk about the challenge of that, once again, that younger offensive line with 2 more dudes lining up against this week.
Yeah, I told our kids this week, I said, you're no longer a sophomore, you're a junior.
Right.
Juniors are seniors, seniors are college and freshmen.
Yep.
Freshmen are sophomores, because, we're 80% through the season. So those kids have been in. That's the thing. A lot of our sophomores, a ton of our sophomores and some of our freshmen have played a lot of varsity football. And so they've gotten a lot of looks and seen a lot of things that they not normally would have seen, because they would have been playing freshman or JV ball. And so I think that speaks well for our future. But, yeah, it's not a break in this region.
Yeah, and, Coach, week in and week out, obviously we had an opportunity here to speak to X. And Xavier Havis is averaging about 4.6 yards on the season per carry. And in our region, and like you said, with a younger offensive line, that's a yeoman's effort to me. And then you look over at Hunter Smith, and he's averaging about 70 yards a game receiving. Yeah. So obviously people know those names from listening to the broadcast, from reading the Sand Mountain Reporter. Yeah. But we get that, right? But my question is, in this week against this opponent, who are some of the players that you would like to see step up into those roles?
Well, I think that our linebackers are going to have to step up this week, because we're going to have to stop the run, and they're going to have to step up in there and take on a big old back. I mean, he's a big old boy now. He's a load, and so our linebackers, it's imperative that they play well, that they meet the challenge, and they're going to have to make plays.
5'4", 240. 5'10", 240-pound senior running back.
Tiny guy. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't want to tackle him.
He's one of those throwbacks. He looks like Mike Allstott. All he needs is some big old
I tell you,
oversized shoulder pads.
He reminds me of Jerome Bettis.
The bus.
Yeah.
The guy from the Pittsburgh Steelers is who he reminds me of.
He's got real good feet. He's powerful. So we just got to stop the run.
And what about some of those that need to step up offensively beyond that of X and Hunter?
Well, every week your offensive line's going to have to play well. And,
right.
And, Xavier's done a great job of finding some things sometimes when it's not there. Last week, our kids played the front. We played very well to be playing against who we were playing against.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah.
You look up and all of a sudden you're playing against these guys that going to go to LSU and South Alabama, and so our offensive line and I think our wide receiver play too. We've got block on the edge and perimeter and do those things. So like I say, I mean, when our sophomores are really juniors now, so they've seen a lot of football.
What about injuries? CJ banged up a couple of weeks ago. Is he getting closer to being able to play?
He will be able to play Friday. Dez will play too, at quarterback. But, yeah, CJ's going to be back.
I think, was it Laughlin that was banged up maybe a couple of weeks ago also?
Yeah, he'll be back. Yep.
So pretty much everybody healthy there.
Yeah, well, Christian's got an ankle that he's been playing on that's tender, but he's a pretty tough kid, and he's been playing. So we're, for the most part, knock on wood, we're good.
Yeah, I think he had that ankle last year, too. I think it's something he's kind of battled the last couple of years. You know, we're talking about the challenge that their offense and defensive line going to bring, and it's kind of funny. Earlier, we were talking to Chase Bynum, and he's one of those kids, you know, he's going against some of these guys that are going to LSU, some of these big old guys, 6'5", 240 pound. But he's one of those guys that's not going to bat an eye. He's going to go give it everything he's got. One of those tough guys, like you said, sophomore that's really a junior now. But what was funny was he showed us a video of here on his phone, and it looked like that guy was throwing him out of a bar somewhere. He had him picked up, and he just hurled him about 8 yards downfield. But you got a lot of guys like that like I said, they've been through the fire. You know, they're young players, but man, they've been through the fire already, and they're 10th graders, and they've got senior experience already.
Yeah, and that's just it. I think that's what I tell the 8th graders, and I tell the kids about. You know, I've told the 8th graders, this bunch that we have here in the 8th grade, the 9th grade, the 10th grade, the 7th graders, you stick together, and people are going to see a lot of change in our football program here, and that's the plan. So, you know, we got a lot of good young football players. So we're going to have a great off season and get them in that weight room and work them hard and change the way that they look. You know, I told them, I said, take a picture of yourself in the mirror, and then in 6 months you're not going to look the same. You know, you're going to be a different looking cat.
Yep.
Coach, another good show. Thanks for Coach Harper joining us. Looking forward to the last road game of the year. So coming up Friday night.
Yeah, and thank goodness I'm ready for the road games to be over and we get to come back to the house.
And Coach, if you get lost this week, there's a problem because you're going back to the same spot.
Same spot, just a different dressing room.
Coach, well, thanks for joining us. Good luck Friday night.
Thank you all.
Don't forget, join us Friday night, 6:30, the pregame show. Kickoff at 7, Aggies against Bob Jones. We'll be back here next Wednesday night again at Legends for the Coach Bert Browne Show. So until Friday night, have a good Wednesday night, everybody.